Many times people are asking themselves what the hell is going on, what kind of shift is going on, not knowing how to head forward while we're actually very, very powerful. Nobody is actually weak unless you allow weakness, and weakness always cuts the energy down. So there's multiple ways of lifting oneself up. So today I want to address many people compare themselves to other people or compare themselves to let's say 20, 30 years ago, or it doesn't even matter, but comparing always cuts the energy down because it allows you to dig into some consciousness that is not yours. And if you compare yourself to other people that have other experiences, that have other thought forms, then you definitely need to dig in every single second item of their consciousness, their lives, and start to know everything. And if you can't do that, why would you compare yourself? Because that means you want to take over their energy manifestations, and many times they may not even be as good as yours. So it's the outer world not always reflects what is 100% truth and reality for these people that may have manifested things, that may, enjoy a great job, a great family, and so many things. But when we look at the outer world and not in the inner world of those people, many times we would just run away, big time. So, it's, creation has always existed from the inside out, creating everything as an unlimited being from the inside out. And that is where you start to realize that your neurons, they fire information. They are a network interconnected with other humans, other species, galaxies, planets, universes. You can make your network as big as you want because you are the only person that is in charge of your energy, and that is all you need to do in order to repair any energy. So it's very understandable. Many have a very hard time to remove the emotional body, to move through the awakening process into the process of taking action, taking responsibility, moving on, and not staying dormant in any of the old parameters, the old ways of living, because evolution states it is interconnecting and interchanging all of the time. And thus, that is where your life can become very, very beautiful, because our neurological network continuously emits like 350,000 volts of electrical capacity. So here, science has been holding stuff back for a very long time. Either way, they're not open. Either way, it doesn't, politics are holding education back. It doesn't even matter anymore. Today, we have access to our channel, our own direct connectivity to our source, to get our own download of information and moving the physics into the physics of the divine, making up the science of true existence on the planet. And thus many people are very, very much interested in how that works. And there's many ways to look at it, because science thinks we only like 50 trillions of cells in the body. However, I don't think that is true. We are, like there's people that can move about 280 trillion. There is species that live on 300 trillion, and there's other higher consciousness species living on 320 trillion rotational movements in light particles, because the whole goal moving from the old emotional body, the mentality, everything that was hijacked, everything is moving the soul into spirit consciousness, and thus, you know, something termed cosmology somehow, and quantum mechanics come into the equation, because that is what we are made of. And in the middle we have the physics. So, and physics are just a complexity of rotational dynamics that can act together. Remember the term together. You're not alone here. It is all about connectivity and interlacing, opening up team networks. So these rotational dynamics, termed particles, can act together and can create a complexity of huge gifts and talents moving in with that rotation. So if we go back, let's say that the term quasi-particles, it's a physical term, describes a physical concept, and that treats, actually, it's very important what I'm saying, it actually treats, let's say, elementary excitations in solids, like spinning waves, you know, spinning waves, like oftentimes through stormy weathers we see the clouds spinning, everything is spinning in the flowers, the trees, the elements. We understand that to some point, water that is spinning when we, you know, drop a particle in the water. So, and as particles do not consist of matter, they are actually termed quasi-particles of phonons, and thus we actually exist of millions of billions of trillions of photonic light emissions, and that light from the body contains information, contains data, contains your channeling capacity, contains transformation, contains everything you ever need, and that is very individual. Thus everything termed change or being in harmony and in alignment with evolution comes from the breathing system that moves from the inside out, like a rotational vortex actually. And that is very important because, let's say, every particular part in the body emits information through an electronic spin, and that electronic spin is what we call light particles, and that makes up the body. So the movement from soul into spirit, as we need to update consciousness all of the time, requires the removal of stuck emotional patterns, lower emotions, fear, panic, stress, depression, anything that is not, you know, in perfect balance and harmony, and thus tranquility and peace. Quite a high rate to move, right, with everything that we experience, but we're all in the same boat, and we're all lifting that boat until we can fly like the phoenix, and that is what we will do. And thus, you know, it's so important at a certain stage when we're moving that and working with our connectivity to the divine, to our source, to the sources and forces in the universe making up our body, then it's quite natural that the answers come from the inside out, because these particles made up of light are sources and forces that will give you direct answers. How do we do that? So this body made up out of is a carbonized cellular body, actually can be transformed into light particle. So I'm doing this for 5 years now, and I see a lot of refinement. And with each upgrade, you lose actually excess weight. You lose actually stuck patterns, because you work with everything that is out there in existence. And thus, the entire universe is actually made out of polygons. And as we see, light particles are made out of polygons. So here we're getting closer. And so it is very important that we acknowledge that, or accept at least, that if we compare our consciousness or, present day state of living to somebody else's state of living, that we actually break our consciousness, that we, sink into the lower degrees of, what is actually requested. So if we sit in meditation for the purification, detoxification, upgrades in consciousness and lifting, and that is all about, evaporating the old and fusing it in with new alignments. New alignments cannot come in when the old is in the way, because that creates dark spots in the body, and so people do not feel the rotation. So as with everything, it requires the uplifting from one level of light embodiment. We are all light embodiments that upgrade, so that move into the new light, living light embodiment actually. And that is where it's very interesting, because the old bodies do not work anymore, especially with the contamination going on the planet. So and that is where we can take the decision to move into a new light body that also has a very important crystalline sphere around it, termed the Master Source Stone. We are all crystal spheres, all throughout all universes. And when we look, it's easier to look at a crystalline ball, and that crystal ball, contains huge levels of consciousness. And these huge levels of consciousness make up our consciousness. Within that crystal ball, we can fuse anything we want in order to upgrade in consciousness, and to open up huge receptivity to new data being downloaded on the planet. So it's all about awakening that consciousness into the next level of taking action. You are pretty much, all of you, very powerful, very awake. Now it's decision time. Decision time that takes courage, that takes determination, that takes daily upgrades and into a complete lifestyle. And that is a transformation from soul into a spiritual living light embodiment, because every little particle, such as the Master Source Stone, has plenty sub-particles. And I notice it myself when I do that. If you live in a light body and you open up the higher light embodiments and spheres of light into the celestial universal levels, that is where the complete transformation of the brain starts to happen, and where you have the access to change cells into light particles. That's the beginning process. Before that, you wouldn't feel anything. So it's a matter of opening that up to that level. I offer it as well in online if you want it, or you can download your own information on how to get all these bodies together ready to transform into light particles. And then when I breathe in, I mean, I may do this like 20 minutes at night or 3 times 10 minutes during the days. Like I call for a transition immediately through the present day transformative portal that is the black universe, and I invite the transition from cells into light particles. Right now, the most potent way here would be yellow. So each month I take another way to work with, because the entire cosmos is made up of 12 universes and into the beyond, whatever there is. But these 12 universes are incorporated in our light body. So each of these 12 need to transform the cells into light particles until we get the full spectrum of these light particles. And that is very, very important. So these capabilities all open up when we transcend, and so we become spinning light particles. If I breathe it in, I call it forth. I breathe, and I breathe out, and my body starts to shiver, meaning releasing old cells or dead cells even that no longer have any nucleus even. So, and that, you know, oftentimes happens when we dig into stress, malfunctioning of the nutritional food industry, synthetic foods. And so it's a matter of purifying consciousness, the body, mentality, and then uplifting all that in the spiritual embodiment, the highest spiritual embodiment, the omni embodiment. So there's no end in creation, but each time you refine and you refine into your eternal self. So there's quite a highway, and the best is you can only feel it when you have grounded a light body that is directly connected to a pillar of light, replacing the chakras. And thus from there on, you can open up your connectivity to your source self, your spark self, and to the house of living light, grounding on the planet that is Shambhala, the great central sun that has been repaired. So, and that is huge, because everything is interchanging, and we do know we can no longer go on with present day ecology, you know, the animal kingdoms being killed and tortured all of the time. All that stuff is huge disharmony and imbalance. So as you know, the biggest transition that we can make, if you want to go there, is truly the transition of water in the body, because planet Earth is a water embodiment, and thus, you know, water making up almost 90% of the body. Then here, opening up and starting to communicate with water particles, communicating with the elements making up water is very interesting, because presently there isn't even a computer that can measure right now how water bubbles are being created. Because, you know, if you pour water in a glass, you will always see bubbles, right? So these bubbles are in some sort, they simulate a, you know, a behavior in turbulence, and thus, you know, bubbles are created in the shape through the air somehow. And thus, all computer can do is just bring through some statistics. So, and that is the reason why is spiritual science is so high in consciousness. It will no longer allow these lower drips to drip in the consciousness of scientists that are not even open to know how it works. To some point, or to my consciousness, I think the air composition connected to the environment where you're at, the air composition in the oceans, the air compositions, for example, in high altitude places such as Tibet and many, many other places, of course, have deep impact on the turbulence, the rotation of the creation of water bubbles, the movement of water. If you look here at the ocean, how the oceans actually is made of massive water bubbles, creating what? Creating light waves. And that is, you see that wild ocean, you know, bouncing back and forth against these rocks. That is how I feel it in the body. And maybe a little bit less strong, but that's the way I feel it. It's the same like in the sand or a salt dripper. You can see that it creates a cone of energy. So that gets bigger and bigger, and it's what's called the repose. It depends on how much the grains interlock and how much they can stick together. The same goes on for the light particles. If you see here how the water can bounce back and forth in the body as well, that is when you have made your reconnection to all there is, and all there is in divinity, becoming a co-partner in creation and allowing the ascension process to go on. Because, you know, we right now in the midst where the ascension process, you know, it's not gonna take much longer, because, you know, people should have made their choices like maybe 1 or 2 years or something, and then the planet will go through a huge axis shift. So every rotation in the body that comes from the light particles, made up of light particles, spins on an axis. So always being connected to the divine axis position, the celestial, universal, omniversal axis, the axis position of Earth turning into light Earth. So putting the word light before everything changes everything, and thus connectivity is actually everything. And that is how huge teams of light will or are already unifying back in to eternity in the eternal bodies, but grounded on the earth, and reason why many amongst us will stay here for many, many, many more years. And, you know, when there is a halt to the, you know, or a stop at the ascension process, like, you know, there's gonna be a huge shift, like many, many species, many animals, many elements will start the transition. Many people are transitioning right now and move up into the other side, because they cannot longer hold on to a body that is in huge decay due to diseases, the stress, you know, everything that sort of killed your living light sources and forces. There's a very deep video about reclaiming your living light forces, because that's all you are. You are a living light force, directly sourced, and when you get all these elements back together in the body, you shouldn't have any problem at all, because you're hugely directed, you live within a team, you're uplifted within the cosmological team with many, many other teams. So learning about how to connect with team members, is also, you know, part of my online courses and getting that all the way in. So here from now on, as my highest level of interest goes truly to the animal kingdoms and the abuse that has been stationed over there. Today, I will bring forth some spiritual, let's say, nudge forward if you want to connect with each video to a new animal that is massively important. So it was quite like, it was the obvious. I went, you know, like hiking for a few hours. I stopped in the middle of the woods where there's nobody to see, started to meditate for a bit. And so I came, you know, I called for my friends, my animals. So this time it was the black beetle. And I made a little video here. The black beetle, it's in all its vulnerability, it teaches man truly strength and doesn't lie in a brutal force, but in the kindness and compassion shown to those who look up to you for help. It actually lies in perseverance, patience, and the focus in order to accomplish any given task. So here at decision time, stopping to compare ourselves and starting to appreciate ourselves stops the compare syndrome anyways. Because if you compare, you don't appreciate yourself. You think there's something lacking. Well, you know, everything is from the inside out. So I wouldn't do that. And thus, these black beetles truly represent transformation. They represent the shedding of old patterns and beliefs about ourselves that truly no longer serve us. So, and that's the way we can manifest new growth opportunities mentally and emotionally. So, it's also about gaining a lot more wisdom from within as the black way connected to the black beetle. Black is unlimited, huge, high level of intelligence. So just breathing the black omni universe through and inviting your reconnection with the consciousness of black intelligence, then you can go a long way. That is what it triggers actually. Because the message here reminds us that no journey is ever wasted, as hidden knowledge awaits us, and we should be brave enough right now, you know, to open up to that level and allow it right in. So overall, the black beetles act as messengers. They encourage individuals to maintain a very positive attitude no matter the circumstances. So they are also very patient in difficult times. So if you know you struggle with impatience and stress, and that, you know, call for it a black beetle as your partner for the month of September, that would be great. And thus it's you know, it's an essential insect to manifest peace, tranquility, harmony, balance. Open up the levels of abundance you need. So any stress factor cuts that down. So uncovering strength, talents, and tapping into your true potential is the assistance you would get from a black beetle, because it's a very beautiful animal. I've been looking at it for hours and I just loved it. So that's my connectivity, that is the encouragement. It only takes such a small amount to take the decision not to compare you to a black beetle. You become one with the black ray, with that wisdom, with that patience, with the transformation it offers, because that is the entire message that it holds. And as everything right now is transitioning quite quickly, and in a few weeks a rush of energy is coming through, then it's time to take that decision to transform into the trillions of light particles that we are. Open up our light data, to which we attract anything we want, to which we manifest quickly, to which we evaporate all consciousness, people that uh, would be better off without you, or the other way around. So just saying, joking and having fun is far more, spiritual, in spiritual alignment, than being depressed and dictating yourself massive things all throughout days and weeks, and without manifesting it. So finding your joy and breathing light from the inside out, opening up a master source stone, because we're all sparkling spheres in this universe, and that is the essence of your stardom, this crystal huge ball of energy. So that is very, very important. I'll show you. Oh. This is my crystal sphere, a smoky quartz. It's actually this first one I ever bought, the first crystal I bought. I think it's 20 years ago or so, or longer, probably longer. Pretty heavy, but that is what I put under my chair or couch, to which I meditate. So that is, you can imagine such a sphere around your energy field, around your light body, that holds all the 12 universes, and you open up your pillar of light quite to that sphere, and that connects right to the next sphere or your next station in evolution. And that is so beautiful, because have you any idea how potent that energy is? How it contains massive data and alignments. Has a rainbow here as well, you see. Yeah. And then of course you can hold smaller spheres, and it's essentially the Madagascar sphere that is creating that essence that a smoky quartz would rather bring to huge levels of intelligences, wisdom, working directly with the black universe, which makes it rather, like a clear, invisible opening, in which we open the tunnels of light, and tunnels of light need to be opened through the eye. So that is part of the transition from cells into particles, opens the eye into a sort of a tunnel vision, and that opens your eternal essence or spiral back into the divine. So if you would want the alignments, I have the Vibe and Rise series here, monthly upgrades that are very, very powerful, because you get 3 long 1-hour alignments, one to the celestial body, the universal body, and one connected to the healing component. So 3 hours to work with for 1 month each time. That's very, very strong. Or for absolute beginners, I still have this class that is the online foundation into self-mastery and alchemy, setting in your light body, setting in a crystal ingot, opening the capstone, opening your capacity to transform cells into light particles, and then I would say the fiesta can begin. Okay, thank you so much. And yeah, let me know where you are at and what is your highest level of passion with present day universe. Quite a question, huh? Thank you, I'm Chalachi.